The purpose of this video is to show you how to do part 2 of the project. So I'm going to walk you through the steps here and do pieces of the project so you can see how you would do this. Part 2, Part A, is to prepare the additional data needed for ratio computations. So in your spreadsheet, for example, one item that's go to Input and scroll down and you'll see a section, actually I wrote in the number here before, additional data. Look at the different ratios that we're requiring and make sure that you have all the information that you need to do these. For example, you probably can find net income and revenue, but one item which you might not be able to find is accounts receivable. It might not already be on the input page, in which case you need to look up accounts receivable. In my case, I'm going to go to my annual report. Here's the balance sheet. This is Polaris Industries. This is the company that I'm using as an example. And you can see here that Polaris Industries does not report accounts receivable. Don't panic. It just has a different name. Trade receivables net. If you're not sure, send me an email or come by my office hours. I'm happy to show you how to do this. Trade receivables net. If you have any of these kinds of questions. So trade receivables net is 119,769. And that's the number that I type in here. Again, remember that numbers should be formatted and you should not just drop numbers in like this. There you go, 119,769. And you'll also need to provide this at least for one prior year. You can do it for the base year too if you want, but it's not necessary. Look and see if there's any other additional data that you need. And then next, compute your financial ratios. So here, under ratio output, for example, return on sales. The formula for this is net income divided by sales. If you're not sure, there it is, net income divided by revenue. Revenue is the same as sales. So you would go equals, go to the input page, and divide, go to your condensed income statement, net income, I have no numbers here because this is not a real spreadsheet, divided by net sales revenue, and then hit enter. So there's a formula in here, and I have an error because my numbers are not in the spreadsheet, but I just want to show you how you would go about doing this. Same thing for the prior year. So for the prior year, I'd go here, net income, divided by net sales revenue, equals whatever the number is. And you can see that there's additional fields here to drop in other ratios. So you want to do all of your ratios based on the formulas that are given to you right here and that we've had in class all along. Next thing to do is, in the change column, choose the answer that best describes the change in each ratio. So if your return on sales went up, then your change is stronger. If your return on sales went down, then it's weaker. And you need to fill this out for each of the ratios. You can see here I have a current ratio filled out, but that was just from a previous video. Next, use the formulas in Excel that reference the input sheet to complete the DuPont analysis of return on equity. So DuPont analysis, if you recall, shows how the ratios relate to each other. So my return on sales is right over here. So I can just create a formula that links these two together and drops this in here. Accounts asset turnover is here. Return on assets is over here, etc., etc. Now for the industry information, go to money.msn.com. Here we are at moneymsn.com. Click on markets and for quote search, I think there's also another box somewhere down here. It changes. I have this on a very large screen, so where everything is on the screen changes depending on how on the shape and size of your screen. So I happen to have this, so everything is very large for the video. If you make this smaller, then things will be in different places. But here I have to click on this little spyglass and then enter the name of my company. And here is Polaris Industries. And the key statistics are shown in this pull-down menu. But if you don't zoom the screen like this, they'll appear on the left side. So it says in the instructions here, it says in the left-hand column menu. That would be the way it may look. It may be in a different place. I'm just warning you. So here you can see key statistics. The first thing we're going to look for is we're going to look for the industry ratio for return on sales. So that'll be under profitability. So I go here to profitability, and you can see here, now that return on sales is called net profit margin here. It's the same thing. And it explains it right over here. See, return on sales also referred to as net profit margin. For the industry, net profit margin is 11.73. So over here, type in 11.73%. And return on assets, return on equity. I'm going to give you a friendly warning here. Not everything is here. So look at the individual ratios that they have. They have a gross margin. We don't use pre-tax margin, but they have net profit margin. They also have the debt equity ratio, current ratio, quick ratio, and interest coverage ratio. They have the PE ratio, which we don't use right now. Various trading statistics, which we don't have any use of. And what they call management effectiveness, return on equity, return on assets, return on net capital, which we don't use. So these are various ratios that we can use. And here you can see the name of the industry, by the way, is recreational vehicles. So we're going to fill in each of these things. Now, certain ratios are not here. Accounts receivable turnover and inventory turnover were here up until the summer. It's now been taken off the website. So these ratios are no longer available. Similarly, financial leverage is no longer available on the industry ratios with MS Money. Now, when you do the DuPont analysis, this is the very last step. Prepare financial ratios and DuPont analysis for your industry. And this is going to be tricky. Return on sales you should have up here. In fact, I'm going to look it up. Return on sales is net profit margin, 11.73%. There it is. Another item here is return on assets. So we go over here. Return on assets industry is 10.46%. And return on equity is 30.39%. And unfortunately, asset turnover and financial leverage are no longer provided on the website, but we can work around that. Now, if you're doing this and you don't watch the video and you just drop in these numbers here as we have them, return on sales is 11.73%, return on assets is 10.46%, and return on equity is 30.39%. That's enough. And unfortunately, we don't have the information for asset turnover and financial leverage. But people who know algebra know that if A times B equals C, then B equals C divided by A. So if you know return on sales and you know return on assets, and return on sales times asset turnover equals return on assets, then all that you need to do here is just divide return on assets divided by return on sales in order to get your asset turnover. And same thing with financial leverage. We don't know financial leverage for the industry, but we can just back it out by dividing return on equity by return on assets. And this way we can see what the industry information is. So this last piece of it is not required because unfortunately this has been dropped from the website. However, it can be figured out, and it would be best to do this because this will give you more information that'll help you write your report. And that's all of part 2. When you're all done, take your spreadsheet and upload it to Blackboard. Thank you.